Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Shubham and today I am going to talk about how can we save a document into a Sharepoint document library in PowerApps. So basically what we are going to do here is we will create one form in which we will fill some data, and once we are filling those data, we will upload a file, and that file is going to save into a SharePoint document library. So basically what we are going to do is we will use Power Apps with Power Automate, and this is what I am going to do now. So let's talk about our backend, and then we will create a form. So this is my SharePoint site, and here I have one list, study material, and it has only one column, title, where I'm going to store the class's name. Okay, and I have one document library, study documents, where we are going to save the files for that particular class and what type of material it is, means what type of document it is. For example, whether it is a notes, it is a syllabus. So that kind of options we are going to save into the type of material, and this will be our Power Apps. So let's do it now. What I'm going to do here is I will just insert one label here which talks about, we can give it the heading as class, and we will just add one input text box where the user is going to fill the value. We can use drop down also, so let's use the drop down. Actually what we are going to do is we will select drop down, and in this drop down we will have options like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that way we will have all the classes. Okay. So if we will see, we can see all the classes are coming up: class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, like that way. Now what we are going to do here is we will create another text, another label which talks about type of material, or we can say type of document. Okay. Let's arrange it in a better manner. And this type of document will be of the type drop down, and here we will have some values, the option like syllabus, and let's keep second option as notes. Now we have class name, second we have type of document. So obviously we need one more field here which will say okay, uh, what kind of documents, which will allow us to select the documents. And as we know, we don't have any control exist in this insert or in any other place where we can select attachment control. So suppose if you will see here, you will not find the attachment control. If you will see here, you will not find the attachment control. Like that way you will not find anywhere. We have another controls like image, but it is not going to help to add the files. It is going to help for the images. Okay. So what we are going to do here is even here also we will not find the attachment. See, there is no attachment control. So what we are going to do is like we will select forms and we will click on edit. But before going to this, let's add the data source in the Power Apps first. So I will just add Sharepoint data source, and here I will select by this particular site where the backend is set up. Okay, and this is the list which I have shown where we are going to save the entries. Yeah, so I have added this study material. Now what I'm going to do is like I will click on this forms and then I will click on edit. Once I will click edit, I will get this particular control, which is a form control, and we need to connect this control to a data source. So what I'm going to do is like what SharePoint data source I have added, I'm going to select that study material. Now see here we got three fields automatically. Title, this is another hidden column was there in that particular list, and third one is attachment. So what we will do, we will delete this title from here. So how we are going to do is like we will go here, we will click on delete. Similar way we will delete this control. Now we have attachment only. Let's rearrange it, resize it. Okay, so for now consider this is our, let's make it, yeah. So this will be my attachment. Okay, so this I have arranged it. Now we have added this attachment control, and I will add a button to save the values. So let's add this button here, submit button. Now we have added this submit button. Now what we are going to do is like on click of submit, we are going to save these values along with the type of document. Okay, so how we are going to do that? So what I will do is like on click of this submit, I am going to write a patch function which will save my class name to the study material list. So source I will select as study material. Then I will select, I will type here default because I would like to create a new item in the SharePoint list. So this is the syntax how we do that. And here we will type the column to which we are going to save class name. So our control name for the class name drop down is drop down one dot selected dot value. And this is the data type of number. So what we will do is like we will convert this into text, and this is the function which converts the number into text. Okay. Now when we will click on submit, what is going to happen is like in this study material list, one item will get created with the title what we will be selecting in the class name drop down. Then how this image is going to save in document library. So what concept here we are going to follow is like, first we will save this attachment at a list level as an attachment. Okay. Once it is added as an attachment, we will trigger a flow from the PowerApps itself, and then in the flow what we are going to do is like we will take those attachments and we will add it to the document library. So this is what I am going to do here. So let's do one more thing here. Once this item is going to create, we will add the attachment at the list level. Then how we are going to do that? We will after this in patch, once we are giving this information, we will add another information after comma. When we are doing that, basically what it is going to do is like it is going to update the newly created item with the attachment. Okay. So if you will see, this attachment control is where in the form 2. So we will type here form 2 dot. Okay. So it will do is like it will get all the attachments from here and it will save to that particular record. I will show it how it is going to do that. Okay. And whenever we do any patch function, in return we get the response. That response will contain the ID of that particular newly created item. So let's we can use clear collect or we can use set, and we will take one variable result and we will close this. What is going to happen is like this patch function will execute and it will store the response in this result. I will show you how. Before proceeding, one more thing I want to tell, because we have added this form, when I will click on play, I will see no controls here because that form we have not initiated. By default it is in read mode, or we can say display mode. So we will first make this as a at the stage of new form. Then how are we going to do that? So see, we have default mode. Default mode is edit mode. We will make it as new. Now if I will click on play, I will see this attachment. Now let's select any value, class as class 4. Forget about the type of document right now. We will talk about this, how we are going to save. And let's select one attachment. For example, I am selecting notes. Now I will click on submit. So it is done. Now if I will go to backend study material list, if I will refresh this list, I will see one item here where it says class 4. Okay, if I will open this, see, attachment got saved here. Okay, and now let's go to PowerApps Pack. And as I said, whenever we are calling this patch functions, the response is going to save in the result. So let's see here. We are getting name, title is 4. Here is the id is 2. Now once we are saving class name and document to the study material list in Power Apps, we are getting the response with the id. Okay, now what we are going to do is like, we will add a Power Automate which will help us to get this attachment, and we will copy this attachment to the Sharepoint Document Library. And if you will see my study documents document library, we have here two extra columns which talks about class and type of material. This type of material currently I have added as a single line of text. This class is a lookup column. So if I will show you the library settings, if you see this class is a lookup column from the study material. Okay, if you have a good knowledge in SharePoint, you will be getting these things what I am talking about. Now let's go back to the Power Apps, and we will add Power Automate which will help us to move the document from at list level to library level. So let's add Power Automate. For that we will click on this action, then we will click on Power Automate, and then we will click on create new flow, and then we will select this Power Apps button. Okay, let's rename this flow as process, and we will click on next step. Once we will click on next step, what we are going to do is like, we will add one action here, get attachments. So let's add that action first. See, this is the get attachment action. We will select this, and we will select the site where we are storing those documents. We will select the list name where the document is currently saved in at a attachment level, and we will select the id. We will get it from the Power Apps, so we will just select here and click on ask in Power Apps. Okay, and then we will now we will click on save. We will add more steps here, so it got saved. Let's add another step. Now we are getting all the attachments. Another step what we are going to do is like, we will get the content of those attachments. And how are we going to do that? There is another action in the SharePoint, get attachment content. This is the action which we will select. Again, we need to select the site address. So we will select this site address where our backend exists. Again, we will select the same list. So here we need to give the ID. So the ID here denotes the ID of the item where those attachments are saved. Okay, so we will just add this variable itself. Let's copy it first and paste it here. This we are getting from the PowerApps. Now we have file identifier to identify if suppose in one item you have four attachment, then how are we going to identify which attachment content we need? So what we will get it is like we need to get the we are already getting all the attachments from that list. So from this action we will get the information about attach file identifier. So see, when I am clicking on this, I am getting ID which says file identifier. From which method? Get attachment. I will select this. Once I am selecting this, because attachments can have multiple numbers, so it will automatically do apply to each. Apply to each means if suppose when I am doing get attachment, I have five attachments, then five times this function will get called get attachment content. Okay. Once I am getting all the attachment content one by one, what I will do is like because it is doing apply to is so one by one I will get the contents. So when I am doing this, that time only I will create the file to a document library, which is a study document library. So there is an action called create file. See, create file is for SharePoint. Here again we will select the same site name, Power Apps, and folder path. It will be the study document. Okay, and study document itself we will select. We will be not creating any folder actually. We can create. So in that case, what we need to do is like first we need to create the folder, and here that path we need to give it. Now let's select the name of the file. Name of the file we will get it from the get attachments again. So we will select display name. File content we will get it from the get attachment content. Okay, like this way we will get the file. Now we have other columns in the study documents like class and type of material. So how are we going to update that? There is another action in Power Automate which says update file properties. This one. We will select this. We will again select the same site address where our backend exists, and we will select the library name study documents and ID of that particular file whose other columns we want to update. And what is that? That is nothing but we will get it from this create file. Item ID. Title, it will be already updated with the same name while we will be uploading the file, but still we can select this as name. Class ID, that document belongs to which class. So for this purpose what we will do is like we are getting the item list item ID from the Power Apps. So from there only we will add it. We'll just copy this particular variable again and we will paste in this. First we need to click on this enter custom value and we need to paste this value. Now, type of material. This is also we will get it from the Power Apps. So we will do ask in Power Apps. Okay, and we will once we are getting all once we are getting the attachment content, we are getting the file to the SharePoint document library and updating the other properties. We will delete the attachments, that particular attachment from the SharePoint list item. So there is another action called delete attachment. Again, we will do the same thing. We will select the site address where our backend exists. Then we will select the list name, ID of that item where file is attached to, which again we are getting from the Power Apps. So I have just copied and pasted it in the file identifier, which we are getting from the get attachments. This is the one from get attachments, and we will save it. Now we are done with the Power Automate part. Now we will go back to the Power Apps. Once we are going back to the Power Apps, what we will do is, once we are creating the item into the SharePoint list with attachment, we will call the Power Automate. Let's copy this formula first. We will select that particular Power Automate process document. This is our Power Automate. It's saying adding. It will take time. See, it's got added, and other formula get got erased. This is the something in PowerApps. It's a issue when you are in any formula and when you add a Power Automate, it deletes all the formula. But don't worry, I have copied it already. I pasted it. Now see, here we are, it is in the up. If you will see, it is asking for the two properties: get attachment ID, what we have declared in the Power Automate, and type of material. So ID we will have in result dot ID, and type of material, this type of document, this control name is drop down to dot selected dot value. Now what is going to happen is like, let's do it actually. I already have this notes dot docx. Let's select class name as 5 and select document type as notes and click on submit. Now if we will go to study material list and refresh it, we will see one item got created as class 5. Okay, and there is no attachment because our Power Automate is triggered. Now if we will see in the document library, attachment will be here. Let's refresh this document library. See here, we have this attachment added here, notes, and the class is also got updated as 5, and type of material is notes. So this is the overall process we can follow to save any file to a SharePoint document library or OneDrive, wherever you want to store the files. Like this way we can perform our logic. So the concept is clear. use this attachment control which comes in the form. Once you are using this control will save the attachment at a list level. Once it is saved at a list level and your item is saved to the list, we are triggering one Power Automate and we are sending the item ID of the newly created item. And once we are passing this, we are doing some steps in Power Automate. First, what we are doing is like we are getting all the attachments which is related, which is uploaded at the list level for that particular item. Once we are getting all the attachments, what we are doing is like each attachment content we are fetching. Once we getting each attachment content, we are creating a file at the library level. And at the once it is created at the library level, we are updating the other columns of that particular file, and then we are deleting the attachment. Like this way uh, we can upload the file to a Sharepoint document library. Now another thing, if suppose you have 10 documents, so it is going to take time to process each one, and we have this applied to each. So by default what it happens is like it do the things one by one. Means it will process the first file, then it will go for second file, then it will go for third file. So what we can do here is like we can make it as asynchronous. Asynchronous means everything will be in parallel. It will not wait for one file to be completed. So how we are going to achieve that is like we will just click on three dots of apply to each. We will click on settings and we will turn on this concurrency control, and we can make it up to 50 level of degree of values at up to 50 level. What does it means is like if suppose we have applied to each and we have more than 50 attachments, then in that case first 50 will be done parallelly. It will not wait for one attachment to be it will not wait for one attachment to be complete. First attachment will run, second attachment will run, third attachment up to 50 it will run in parallel. Okay, so this is the basic solution which talks about how we are saving the file to a document library. If you have any doubts, feel free to comment in my comment section of this video, and if you have any requirement where you are getting stuck, feel free to ask in the comment section. Thank you very much.